What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we are back with another Fjordur creature submission. And today, guys, we have, but bear with me here, the RHYNIOGNATHA? RHYNIOGNATHA, I think. RHYNIOGNATHA. I'm gonna wager that's it. I apologize if I've butchered the name, but I'm gonna go RHYNIOGNATHA. So today, guys, we have this one, the Ruler of the Skies, I think it's called. Now, this thing looks dope, and I definitely think we need more insects in Ark. And this thing blows my socks off. So we're gonna be going through it today, and we'll take a look at its abilities and whatnot, and how they would want it implemented. So, based on the oldest insect known, the RHYNIOGNATHA. It's meant to add an original style of creature by using a type almost forgotten in Ark, the insects. It's also a way to make the sky more dangerous even if you already tamed a flying mount. Also, once tamed, it turns into an endgame mount. I'll elaborate with these images about its designs, skills, motorcycle saddle, among other stuff. Please feel free to share your thoughts or suggest any change or feature in the comments. Now, already this thing looks freaking awesome. Look at that. Look at that face. That is terrifying. And, like, I don't know what is coming off it. I don't know if it's, like, mucus or what, but it is terrifying. So, let's go over some of the dossier pictures. Even if several features are removed, I'd be happy if it keeps the air/water versatility and the motorcycle saddle. The main purpose of this creature is to make Ark skies actually dangerous and to make an all-terrain stylish mount. Also, the art took a lot of time. Now, I kind of agree with his statement there. Once you get a flyer, you are pretty much safe in the skies. Like, there is nothing up there that is going to harm you. Like, I think the biggest threat are maybe wyverns and griffins. But wyverns are only if you are near their nests, and that's a very centralized location. And griffins are very scattered and sporadic, and even then, they're not really that much of a threat. So, it kind of sucks. But let's go over it. So, biology and design. RHYNIOGNATHA is the oldest insect known to modern science, and most of it is still a mystery, so I made a deep research in order to adapt it properly. Its head is based on the most famous rhinos fossil. I merged different modern insects and heavy inspiration from the fossil shape to get a scary look. So that looks like it's the fossil's head skull thing there, and he's fashioned it after that, which honestly, that is freaking terrifying. It's yet unknown if it was an insect or a myriapod, but as the oldest ancestor for both, I decided to add features from both to its design. So several body segments like a myriapod, antenna, 6 legs, and wings like an insect. Its wings are based on the caligo's wings, which uses, I think it says evil eyes, olive eyes? Owl eyes, as a form of mimicry to look dangerous. As you notice, if you have explored the Ark's oceans, they are like the Cjthecheesedj's eyes. That's actually true. That looks pretty sick. Besides a cool visual feature, it's also an important part of a skill we'll explain later. That's actually really cool how they've done that. In the lower body, I added an amber-looking glowing part. This is probably the most sci-fi or fantasy feature of the concept, but I believe it's a great reference to the previous fossil and to Jurassic Park amber mosquito to depict the fact that this was arguably the first insect ever. So yeah, that was the part we were noticing that was kind of like glowing. It's also important for some skills, so they've kind of given it as a nod to like Jurassic Park and the amber reference. Whew, now we get onto the size of it. I love rideable insects like mantis and arthropleura. Anyway, I'd love to see a flying rideable insect in the game. I mean, it makes sense, right? Majority of insects can fly. Like, there's something like 60 billion, 80, I think it's 80 something billion different types of insects in the world. I'm pretty sure it's some absurd amount of number. Oh, maybe not species, but like the total amount of insects is ridiculously high. It's like 80 billion or something like that. Which in comparison, there's only like 7 point something billion people on Earth. So even if the real RHYNIOGNATHA was way smaller, I decided to do it really big to make it both look cool and to ride and be a threat to fight. So here we go. Now we've got its skills. So it's an air water mount. It's not clear if RHYNIOGNATHA was a flyer, earth, or water insect. It could even be the missing link for insects, from water creatures into earth ones. For this, it will be a flyer capable of going underwater without ejecting its rider nor losing any speed. Now that's pretty cool. For some information for you guys, there are a couple of insects that can actually dive underwater by creating oxygen bubbles and stuff like that. So they can actually dive underwater to hunt their prey. And you've got like water skimmers as well that will float over water as well, which is really cool. So it sounds like a couple of those insects have been implemented here for its abilities. Its speed, both flying and swimming, is exactly the same. And it's in the middle of a flying wyvern and a diving monagma. I think they're talking about the speed here, yeah. Rhino is meant to excel at fighting, traveling, and carrying. Its weight stat is higher than a wyvern's, but lower than an Argentavis or a Quetzal. Its speed is pretty average while walking or running on Earth. Honestly, I don't really care about its speed. You give me one of these things in the game, and it's going to look freaking awesome. Heavy carrier. While on Earth, it can carry up to 2 medium creatures. Whoa, that's cool. Up to Ankylos by holding left or right mouse button respectively, like a Karkanos, yeah. Those creatures are kept even after starting to fly, swim, or landing. Holding the proper button drops them. That's actually pretty cool. So it sounds like you can carry them on the ground, because it's obviously got the 6 legs. It can fly off and then obviously take them underwater as well. While flying or swimming, it can carry earth, air, and water creatures up to Rex or Plesio by holding the right mouse button, but it will use all of its legs. That creature is dropped if you land. Drop the grabbed creature by holding right mouse button again. In both cases, creatures won't be dropped while changing between air or water, except water creatures, yeah, which will instantly die if you take them out of the water. That was a little note I was going to make. If you take them out of the water, they're gonna die. But the fact that you can, like, I like how this is implemented, how you can pick up the creatures, carry them around with you, dive underwater. It's pretty cool. I don't know how the mechanics of the actual creature swimming will work, though. Maybe it'll vibrate its wings or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, because, yeah. That's why insects create that oxygen bubble to dive under, because if they get wet, they kind of get stuck under there. Mimicry. The eye spots in its wings resembling a Cjthecheesedj make Rhino ignored by any other water creature unless attacked. I like this feature. That's really cool. This effect doesn't apply on Earth or air, but you can press C on Earth, flying or underwater while not carrying a creature, to open and shake its wings while roaring, to resemble a giant head and scare/immobilize any creature in the area in front of you for 5 seconds. So it's kind of like an intimidation act. Scared creatures are immune for a few seconds to be scared again. It doesn't work on bosses. So far, I'm really enjoying the skills that this guy's got. To mimic a Cjthecheesedj, both wild and tamed, Rhinios swim like a squid. Alright, here we go. While carrying a creature or while not sprinting underwater. They use its wings as a head and its legs as tentacles. It doesn't have an oxygen stat. That's really cool. That's really cool how they've done that. So let's take a look here. That's really cool how they would mimic that. While sprinting underwater, they swim the same way they fly. It can't be grabbed by an actual Cjthecheesedj. That's really cool. I'm a massive fan of that. Yeah, that's awesome how they've implemented that in the design of it. So now we go into more of its usefulness as a war mount. So rhinos are dangerous to fight. Its saw-like jaws can inflict bleeding and several damage to the creatures and players it bites, with its left mouse button attack. For the same reason, they are good at farming hide, meat, wood, charcoal, and organic polymer with the same attack. Kind of reminds me of like a chainsaw sort of mouth. You can quickly attack and push several enemies at once with its legs by pressing left mouse button. This attack is very weak and it can't be used while carrying a creature with all of the rhino's legs. So this sounds like it's a pushback attack, similar to the wyvern's wing flap attack. You can use both jaws and leg attacks while on the ground, air, and underwater. Ooh, this looks terrifying. If carrying a creature with all Rhynio's legs while flying or swimming, you can use the left mouse button to use a better version of the jaw attack on the grabbed creature, which will receive even more damage. So this sounds similar to a Megalo's attack, except I think the Megalos don't do more damage when it's actually in their mouth. But similar how it's like immobilized and you stab into it. You can also try to pick the rider of a creature directly with any of the Rhynio's grab attacks. That's actually really cool as well. So if you pick up a player during PvP, you can grab them off with the other legs. Natural resource producer. Rhynio's lower part produces both light and a special resource called RHYNIOGNATHA resin. It glows naturally, which makes them easy to spot at night or underwater. This light works like a shoulder pet's light, such as bulb dogs or shinehods. While the Rhynio has charge, its charge stat substitutes the oxygen stat. So it sounds like if you run out of charge stat underwater, you're going to possibly die. Its lower part produces RHYNIOGNATHA resin at a decent rate in its inventory, which can be used instead of sap, honey, or ambergris, and any of their variants and uses. Resin can't be stacked, but it never spoils. So that's a pretty good substitute for sap, honey, or ambergris, to be honest. If it's producing that sort of amber stuff, it's a good idea. Alright, now we get into the cool stuff of how you're going to tame them and stuff. Wild encounters. RHYNIOGNATHA can live just about anywhere, but they prefer deep oceans, caves, and random spots in the air. They are always alone, but it's not impossible to find more together. They are extremely angry hunters and will chase their prey by air, earth, and water, unless its target is fast or elusive enough. That's hard since just a few creatures are faster than Rhynios. While underwater, they mimic a Tuso to avoid getting targeted by other predators, but it will take its way faster insect form again if it spots something to chase and kill. Even while angry predators, they tend to ignore targets on the ground unless they were targeted from air or water first. This is to make Arc Air actually dangerous, since once you get a flyer, it's hard to be dangerous unless landing. Yeah, I completely agree with that statement. There's not really too many threats up in the air for Arc. Wild Rhynios will use all the previous listed skills, including grabbing both your creatures and you, even if you are mounted. In order to make this easy for them, they will also attempt to immobilize you and your creatures with its cry to grab you and bleed you until you are dead. This is why it's not recommended to get close to them unless you seriously want to get its drops or you want to tame one. Even at low levels, they are dangerous for players. No matter how injured they are, Rhynios will try to inflict damage to you until the very last moment. This behavior changes with females. If there's a fertilized target near, but that will be explained in the taming section. Once dead and farmed, they can drop RHYNIOGNATHA resin, chitin, and meat. There's a lot of ones for this one. Weakness. After receiving feedback, I realized you guys are right. The creature has no current weakness, so I added a pair of them for balance purposes. As an insect, it will be fairly weak to fire, so a flamethrower will be effective, but a fire wyvern or a magmasaur will be a complete overkill. That seems fair enough, you know. I think that's a good idea. Judging from what we read, they didn't really have any weaknesses, so I think fire is a good way to go. As well as that, both of them will kill the Rhynio with 1 or 2 shots. Also, its health pool would be better in an averaged amount instead of the previous large pool. This way, it will be more of a glass cannon, relying more on speed and high damage rather than being a tank. Yeah, that makes sense as well. This way, Rhynio riders will have to master the use of this creature in order to use its full potential by dealing large amounts of damage while dodging incoming damage, especially fire. This could also be a nice way to return fire, wyverns, and monogamias to be useful in the meta in a scenario with RHYNIOGNATHAs messing around in PvP. Taming. Previous method was far too complicated. I don't know what the previous method was. And tedious, and it was the main complaint in the comments, so I realized it was better to change the idea into a simpler one. So this is how we go about taming them. Now you just have to kill a male Rhynio to get the RHYNIOGNATHA essence. You can fertilize a tame or a player by feeding them with that essence. Then you have to find a female and damage her to less than 10% of its health. If there is a fertilized creature nearby, the female will grab it and use a special attack similar to the Reaper Impregnation, which will remove the fertilized effect and give a pregnant one. Okay, the female will only impregnate creatures or players with a level equal or higher than herself, and they will only do it while flying or swimming, as she needs all of her legs to pick the creature. Okay, that sounds like a really cool taming method. So it's, yeah, similar to the Reapers, except you need an extra creature with you. You need to kill a male version and get the fertilized effect on the creature. And the creature then has to have a higher level than the actual female one to get impregnated. And then I'm assuming it'll burst forth. The baby's base level is the same of its mother. After some days, the baby will finish eating the host creature insides, and it will be born. The host will instantly die. The host creature species directly affects taming effectiveness and the newborn's level gain. After the baby has been born and gains its efficiency levels, it can be claimed and gain imprint. This is a preliminary list of host creatures and their efficiencies. Okay. So Raptor 20, 50, 100, 100, 100. After some feedback, the table got simpler and easier. Now creatures at Rex dangerousness / size will achieve 100% efficiency. Baby Rhynios eat honey, ambergris, or resin. Adult Rhynios can also eat meat. The host can't be a tech or mechanical creature, nor another Rhynio, and the mother must be able to carry the creature to impregnate it. Okay, so this makes sense. So essentially, the creature will burst forth at the base level of the mothers. So say, for example, you find a 150, and you get fertilized or impregnated by that 150. Depending on what you use to get impregnated, you'll get the extra effectiveness. So say, for example, you use a raptor, you'll only get an extra 20%. So you might only get an extra, like, I think it's like 20, 30 levels for a 150. Whereas if you use a Rex, a Spiner, or a Tuso like that, you'll actually get the full, I think it's what, 72 levels? An extra 72 levels. 150, it'll go to 224. Yeah, an extra like 74 levels if you use like the Rex or the Spinos. So I actually really like the taming method for this guy. As for the saddle, let's go over the saddle. If you're going to rule the ocean and the sky, you have to do it with style. The saddle is based on a chopper motorcycle. The smoke resembles a bee smoker in order to keep your mount calm, but it will never rage like a giga. This is just a visual and needs no gas. To make it better, RHYNIOGNATHA's sound while flying is meant to sound like some sort of organic motorcycle engine. Yeah, I can see that with the wings flapping. And breeding, females can manually impregnate your own creatures and trimates by grabbing them while flying or swimming, by holding the mouse button and then pressing the control. While mating is activated, if there is a male nearby, it will trigger the same animation the wild ones do. Remember, the host creature will die when the baby borns. Also, the host must have an equal or higher level than the female. Yeah, okay. Breeding sounds cool. That's all, folks. I hope you like my creature. If you do, don't forget to vote for it. Honestly, this thing is incredible. I really like the way they've implemented all of its abilities, the breeding, the taming. I think it's a really cool designed creature, and I definitely think we need something for in the sky. This is, yeah, it's really cool. We definitely need some more insects for Ark as well. Like, we've only got the mantis, the arthroplura, the aranio, the scorpion. And I think that's everything. And even then, out of those 4 creatures, only the mantis really ever gets used. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I really like this creature. So if you guys also enjoy it, don't forget to vote for it in the creature submission vote. I believe, yeah, once you've submitted one, you cannot submit anymore. So make sure you set it out the way you want it to. But that is going to wrap up the video for the RHYNIOGNATHA. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe down below for more, and I'll catch you in the next one.